Thank you, Mr. Fay, Technology Director for Zion, Benton Township High Schools. Before we open up our presentation, centered on the future of our school district and some ideas, and this idea of engagement with our community, with our teachers, with our partners, administrators, about what is best for our school district. What are, how do we best utilize our resources? How do we become fiscally conservative, but at the same time provide opportunities and make investments to our district? I just want to say that this work has been supported. This work has been in the works for a couple years by a Board of Education who is extremely focused on the best interest of our school district and our community. Again, on behalf of the Board of Education, under the leadership of Jerry Nordstrom, Board President, and the entire board, thank you and welcome to this opportunity. We do have with us several administrators. I see teachers, union leaders. I see our president in the back. Thank you for being here. But I also see a former board member and a big supporter of public education, Ms. Gina Roberts, now board member for Lake County. Thank you for the support, Gina. Thank you for supporting public education. Thank you for always being a partner, even though you're no longer on our Board of Education. So again, this is what it takes, folks. It takes a community coming together under a vision for success. The idea that Zion Benton can go from good to great. The idea that we must make investments in our students. The idea that our students must be, here we go, must be college, career, and life ready. So we do have some plans. We do have a mission 2025. We would like to see our graduation rate go to 90%. These are ambitious goals. We know we can do it. We know we have the right teachers. We know we have the right students. We know we have the right community. Folks online, watching us, we know we can make it happen in Zion Benton Township. But we also know, and we also got to be very clear, that this will take a community effort. Which is why the Board of Education, in conversation with me a year ago, was very clear that we would like to see our work, and the focus should be that we do what we need to do for our students to advance learning in partnership with our community. And I thought about that. What do they mean in partnership with our community? Well, it is in their mission. So the board was very mission-driven and very specific. That we need to ensure that our students, that we promote their social growth, that there's social responsibility, that there's lifelong learning. But superintendent, we cannot do that unless we involve our community. So that was the beginning of this partnership. So I have to say thanks to the board members who engaged with me in that conversation. Gina was one of them. Kathleen Risho was one of them, Kim Leach, Chan White, Jerry Nordstrom, Dr. Jorge Nieto, Patricia Stevens. So again, that is what we're seeking to do. How do we make this happen? How do we make strategic investments in our students? And how do we make it happen in collaboration with our foundational schools, formerly known as feeder schools? How do we do it with our employees? How do we embrace our teachers? How do we work together with the union as administrators? Because there has to be a deep commitment in making sure that our students continue to move forward and that we challenge that graduation rate that has persistently been 79%, 79.8. We're going for 90%. And after 90, we're going to stretch that to 95. And we will celebrate our achievements long term. But folks, I just want to be very clear. Mr. Nordstrom, I want to be very clear. I'm very candid. Nothing will change if nothing changes. So I just want our teachers, our administrators, our community, other superintendents, to understand that we will need to make some changes in order to achieve these goals. I'm very clear on that, and I think you are too. And I mention this because in the last couple of days I've had conversations with staff members, and sometimes we're a little bit scared of the process. But please trust the process. We're holding the vision. Trust the process. At the end of the day, our students will be achieving levels that we never imagined. 90% graduation, 90% teacher retention. We even included the teacher piece because we do believe, we do know that teachers are important. So again, we have a 90-90-90-90 goal that I will be presenting to the new board, very, very soon. And for some, it's an ambitious goal. Sometimes I believe that we don't believe we can do it. And I have an issue with that. I'll be very candid. I have a big issue with that. Because I am from this community. And I know we can't. But I also know that we have to engage community. I also know that we have to engage our foundational schools. I also know that we got to promote a college, career, and life ready. But I also know that at the elementary level, we have to promote high school readiness. And I am having those conversations with the superintendents about that. I just want to announce, really quick, that one of the questions last week, 2 days ago, was around the idea of reopening our schools. But if you're reopening, are the foundational schools reopening also? I must tell you that I received notification from superintendents that they have the same plans. So we are aligned. We're aligned in many things. We do have conversations. And I just want you to be patient, but at the same time, hold us accountable. Because that is needed in order for us to move the district forward. I already mentioned this piece about our Board of Education. Our vision is to ensure that our students thrive in today's global society. We're educating our students to go beyond Zion and Zion Benton. We're educating them to be global competitors in this dynamic global economy. And, of course, we are going to continue with our vision and our mission that is centered on the belief system that the board understands that we have to do this in collaboration with our community, but that we have to take ownership for the results that we have. So please know, and the teachers should know this, administrators, I am not pointing fingers about what happened in the past. I am looking forward to the future. How do we make it better? How do we go from good to great? As that is the charge, and that is a commitment. That is a commitment that we have as a community. And I understand and I know that we're going to make that happen. So right now, we're looking at some renovations for our district. We understand that keeping taxes at a rate that is acceptable is important. We also understand that making some investments in academics is key. So we're proposing these projects, which we will go into detail. The hardest lesson learned in July 1st and that month was that as I was preparing to bring a proposal to the board about in-person learning, about remote, I was excited and I was like, I am going to have a big win. They're going to love it when they hear this proposal. Guess what? I learned that our buildings were not equipped to do some of the ideas that I had. I walked the buildings and I saw the conditions, which, by the way, we have done a very good job keeping up with the buildings, but the truth of the matter is that some of our classrooms are not equipped. They're not 21st century classrooms. Some of our science labs, for example, are very antiquated. And somehow the shape looks very, very different. than what you see in science labs in other schools in America. I mean, it's very different. And then I had an education moment with my union president when she explained to me what happened and why the rooms look the way they look. So you do learn through the process that there are some possibilities and there's some challenges that you have. So I just want you to know that when it comes to science rooms, science laboratories, some of our foreign language classrooms, industrial arts, it is time for us to make an investment. And it is time for us to make an intentional but also responsible investment in our schools. And that is exactly what we are proposing to you, and we want to hear from you. So there's an opportunity at the end to ask questions. There's an opportunity for engagement, because what we want to do today, for the most part, is explain to you our best thinking as of now, and then hear from you about your opinions, your thoughts, your ideas, so that we can move forward. So, in short, and before I bring our next speaker, we're proposing to renovate science labs, industrial arts, to have a multi-tier system of support, a center for our students, to have more space for our English learners. They've been moved from place to place, so we want to find a home for them, because they do matter. Our students matter. Potential office changes, and then some classroom spaces. Our CFO, Dr. Wilkinson, will explain I will show you, with pictures, our thinking as of now. I want you to know that we have changed. The ideas have changed as we hear from you. So it is important to hear from you. It is important to take our feedback into consideration as we move forward. We're looking forward to propose this to the Board of Education in the month of May. But and we will also talk about that. So without any further ado, please welcome our CFO, Dr. Matt Wilkinson, who will explain the strategic initiative, the rationale, will show us a couple pictures, and again, the intent is to ensure that our students thrive, that we take it to the next level, that we become a model school district, and that we do this with you as a community. So this is no business behind doors and closed doors. This is not about the idea of doing things as independent practitioners in independent kingdoms with the door closed. This is about community. This is about us coming together. This is about us, exchanging ideas. But most importantly, this is it's also about us giving back to our community, and for us to show that in terms of student achievement for our school district. Thank you again, and Dr. Wilkinson, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. So, as we've mentioned, this is truly going to be an investment not only in our school district but our community, and we see it as such to achieve our ultimate goal, which is to ensure that our students are college and career and life ready. So, as we look at this project and we think of our past investments, we know that we brought our performing arts to the 21st century with our new Performing Arts Center. We're actually bringing our athletics to the 21st century, currently working on our natatorium project. So as Dr. Rodriguez mentions, that we want to go to the next level. This is our next level, focusing in on curriculum and instruction through science and our industrial arts. So to go back to the goal, science, college perhaps, career, industrial arts. So it really has a good tie and connection to our ultimate goal, which is college and career readiness and life ready. So we also have a couple of success indicators that we're looking at in terms of telling us these are the types of initiatives that we want to achieve in this goal. One being targeted increases in proficiency levels in English language arts, math, and science annually for our Black special education English learners and Latino students. So again, there's a focused reason behind the goal and for the strategy of the project. Another success indicator, a percentage of students attaining industry certification in one or more areas of study will increase by 5% by 2025. So again, we have our college area, we have our career area. So we're focusing in on the ultimate goal of college and career readiness and life ready. So that said, the proposed renovation, again, is for looking at the 21st century. And so as we think about curriculum, programs, and resources, we want that learning to be personalized for our students. We also want to make sure that our students have the ability to survive in a global economy and thrive in that economy. So we're looking to taking everything to the 21st century and the next level and moving out of the current situation that we're in right now. Classrooms, when we think of classrooms for the 21st century, they need to be flexible. Furniture needs to be mobile. There needs to be plenty of natural sunlight, and we'll see in some of the pictures coming up what we actually have today and what we have planned for the future of our students in this community. And we're going to do this in a fiscally conservative way, and we won't be doing it without bonding or referendum. We're strategically investing our fund balances, our reserves in this project, again, without a referendum or a tax increase. So if you take a look at this picture, this is currently what our existing science classrooms look like. We talked about the odd structure of the room. It's not very square. It's kind of got angles and that type of thing. And you can see that the desks are lined up in a traditional kind of row. Probably what you would see in a classroom that's not up to the 21st century standards yet. So here is what we're proposing. You can see the natural sunlight coming through with the windows, the mobile furniture, the chairs, the tables all have wheels on them. They can be, if you have a lab that needs more separation, you can move the room around to meet the accommodations of the lab. You see the monitor up there. We have integrated technology, just more advanced 21st century type learning than what we're proposing as part of this project. So let's also take a look. This picture to me was very familiar because it kind of looked like my industrial arts program back when I was in school a while ago. And so what we're proposing is to bring it up to a more contemporary. You can see the natural lighting come through, the ventilation systems, and the mobility of the classroom, the cabinetry, just the kind of level that we're looking for to take our students into the 21st century to make sure ultimately that they're college and career and life ready. Again, we need to maintain that goal in mind when we think about making an investment in our high school and in our community for our students, that we attain that ultimate goal. So the next slide, we're going to talk about our proposed MTSS Resource Center, and I'd like to invite up Dr. Melissa DeGanchi, and she's going to talk to us about that.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wilkinson. So one of the opportunities, one of the options that this project affords us is the ability to develop and implement a multi-tier system of support, also known as MTSS. MTSS really speaks to educating the whole child with a focus on academic, social, emotional, and behavioral. And specifically, what an MTSS Resource Center does for us is it allows us to centralize services and supports, wraparound supports for students in an efficient and an effective way. Specifically, we're talking about academics, providing enrichment and intervention. We're talking about conflict support for social emotional well-being, and then we're also talking about an explicit and expanded focus on parental engagement. And so a proposed space for this really allows our staff that we'll be utilizing to really come together, work efficiently and effectively, and provide students ease of access to all the services and supports that we can provide. So this is a really exciting opportunity, and when we think about every student being college, career, and life ready, students need different things. And so we really want to focus on making sure we're taking care of the whole child, and MTSS is a system that allows you to do that. So we're really excited about that. That said, I'll turn it right back over to Dr. Wilkinson.
Thank you. So we want to talk a little bit, obviously every investment has a cost, and we want to talk about the implications on taxpayers at this point. As of this year, the district has abated nearly $7 million in property tax dollars over the last 4 years. As a result of those abatements, as well as increase in our EAV, the district tax rate has fallen from an all-time high of $5.30 in 2015 to $3.99, or $1.31 over the last 4 years. So a pretty significant decrease in terms of tax rate. So what does that mean to the district tax rate for the homeowner whose property is $150,000, approximately $38.86 decrease. So again, talking about investing in the district, but yet having taxes decrease on the community taxpayers. And again, the tax rate of $3.99 is 7 cents lower than it was last year. It's the lowest it's been since 2011. So pretty significant. In terms of the tax extension, the $28.9 million is slightly more than the district received 5 years ago in 2015. The new assessed evaluation, which is basically the amount of property tax wealth within your community that you draw from and multiply the tax rate by, is $725 million approximately, and that is comparable to what it was in 2005, almost 15 years ago. So we're utilizing resources and trying to provide resources today based on dollars from 2005, and still reducing taxes. So we're doing what we should, being fiscally responsible, investing in our community and our schools, and doing it in a manner that is, again, fiscally responsible. Project funding, again, we'll be doing it without referendum or bonding. Strategically investing the district reserves and the recently Congress-approved American Rescue Plan funds will allow us to enhance the project more in terms of thinking about air quality and the things that we can do to avoid COVID-19. And again, those funds will be available over the 2-year period of 22 and 23 that we intend to finance this over a 2-year period. So what are our next steps at this point? Obviously funding the project with $14 million, 13.5 for the Science and Industrial Arts Project, and approximately $500,000 for the MTSS Center, utilizing district reserves over fiscal years 22 and 23, and other federal and state grants that become available. Again, we've held community engagement sessions on Tuesday. We're holding the second one here tonight. At some point at the beginning of May, we would like to bring the Committee of the Whole meeting of the Board of Education together to maybe go through the same process and talk about more changes that may have occurred to the project and update the board on the project status. Hopefully with everything in place, we will approve our capital needs plan at the May 2021 meeting, approve the architect, the construction manager, and bid the project in September, award the project in October, and hopefully with an estimated completion time of January 2023. And again, I have to emphasize at this point, these are all estimated dates. As things roll out further, the board takes action on the necessary things to get the project moving. We'll have more specific dates at that time. But right now, this is the preliminary tentative schedule that we have for the project. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Rodriguez.
Before we go into the questions, I know some of you might ask, well, how is this fiscally responsible? I want you to know that the idea is to be cost neutral. The Board of Education has not approved additional dollars for this. So, in our conversations, we engage in this idea of high impact, low cost. Low cost, high impact. A cost benefit analysis of our business. So I will take you for a minute, because it is important to understand that this proposed MTSS Resource Center is utilizing the same staff that we have differently. I mentioned to you before, nothing changes if nothing changes. What we have now currently is a high impact, high cost initiative. We can make this high impact, low cost. Let me take you somewhere for a minute. Please look at intensive support for individuals. That is our students that are achieving at a very low level. Folks, we're paying too much for that. It's costing me too much money to address that. So of course I have to stretch. Of course I have to work with the foundational schools. Of course I have to challenge myself, my administrators, my teachers, my unions, because I do need to ensure that we have acceleration and enrichment, not only intervention. Because again, with intervention, that is high cost, high impact. When my students are failing, that is high cost. They gotta repeat the class next year. I need to pay a teacher again. So there is a business component to the business, and we're looking at a cost-benefit analysis and what can we do being fiscally responsive, as we're not intending to put stress on our taxpayers to ensure that we can make this happen. And it can happen, but it will only happen when great minds put their minds together to work on the right things. It won't happen with an irresponsible board of education, irresponsible administration. It will not happen. Zion Benton is blessed to have such a board, such a community, such a partnership with our administration, our unions, our teachers, our faculty, staff, and most importantly, our community. So with that, we do have, we want to engage with you in our questions. If you are online, please log into this link, and you're able to ask your questions. You can write it down. In a couple minutes, one of my staff members will read the questions. If you are here, this is an opportunity for questions, comments, thoughts. Again, the most important part about our meeting today is to listen to you, but also to provide you with factual information and also our best thinking, as you are paying for these services, and we're responsible to you. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you, and we'll take any questions, any thoughts, any comments. We are family. Please be creative, please be vocal, please let us know how we can improve. Questions?
So is it just a mad scramble on making the changes one to the next, to the next, to the next, or is there a pattern on how you're handling the industrial arts and the science and the MTSS? Because that's not really laid out in your presentation here.
Yeah, yeah. So there is a pattern of how it will happen. Dr. Wilkinson will come forward and give you, the explanation of how it will happen. But overall, as you know, we are building a new natatorium. The old natatorium is a space that is available. We are going to start there and take care of the first with industrial arts. Move industrial arts first and then address science. But I will tell you, Dr. Wilkinson does a much better job explaining it. So he will answer that question, because it is important to the staff, it is important to the community, that we can continue with services that are not interrupted. So that the charge to the administration and the architects was, services cannot be interrupted. It must continue to be seamless. So Dr. Wilkinson, please answer that.
Yeah, so in working, in developing a sequence of the project, the top priority obviously was not to disrupt the current instruction that was occurring in those spaces that we intend to renovate to the 21st century. So as Dr. Rodriguez had said, we have an old natatorium that is currently vacant and in need of renovation. So we'll actually begin renovating that area, taking it from a single level story to a two-story facility. And you can see the drawings over there, kind of the octagon of the drawing. That would be first floor and second floor. And essentially those areas will be constructed first. And we can do that construction without any disruption to any of the classrooms, any of the areas. We'll have to block off our front south parking lot there a little bit for a construction site. We'll put a fence in that first 30, 40 feet area to kind of cover that from traffic and that type of thing. But those renovations will occur first, and then we'll actually move the industrial arts folks into that area and then renovate the industrial arts area that currently exists to bring it up to level for the science classrooms. And then ultimately move the science classrooms from where they exist now into the newer science area, and then renovate those final 10 science classrooms in the old area. So that's the sequence. Again, no disruption to services, no disruption to teachers. They'll be able to stay in their classrooms, and logistically it just works out very nice. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, probably a key thing to actually add to your presentation, because that's a key piece of information that's not very
All right.
clear.
Thank you.
If I can, a follow-up question, what are our actual reserves that we're starting with in funding the changes that we're looking to make? I mean, I know we're looking at other areas where we're looking for grants and we're looking for what the federal government is putting out. What are we starting with? What's that number?
So,
Yeah, Matt will provide a number, but I want to emphasize one area. As you mentioned, federal, state, we do have already additional supplemental resources other than our district fund balance, such as federal dollars, the American Rescue Plan, also at the state level. And it's important that we say this. We are pushing for the state legislature to approve the state construction grant. That is San Benton applies, and we are seeking that that opportunity. I had the opportunity to engage with some of the community leaders, and the response was great as it relates to that, because we do need our legislators, congresswomen, congressmen, to support this idea, and those resources are needed in our school district. But in addition to that, we also have federal dollars that we will be allocating to this project, in addition to the existing funds that we also have available. So Dr. Wilkinson will answer that question relative to the number, but it is not only one funding source, it is various funding sources, to make sure that we can create the best conditions and the best project, and continue to push this idea of fiscal responsibility.
yeah, existing right now, we have reserves that we intend to use out of 3 of our funds: Education Fund, Operation Maintenance Fund, and Working Cash Fund. Again, it's going to be funded over a 2-year cycle. So initially, we're looking at about $8 million in reserves in the first year. But then, as Dr. Rodriguez mentioned, we have American Rescue Funds, we have the State Construction Grant, and we have currently they're calling the CARES Grant Act, ESSER funds, that we have a rooftop unit that is actually going to be replaced this June, where we can actually use those dollars that we got for the COVID relief funds that will actually cover that. That'll actually probably be one of the first steps in the project, is replacing that rooftop unit, and all those dollars will come from the CARES Act fund. So we do have multiple sources, and they're going to expand. If they bring that school construction grant back, that could potentially pay for a significant amount of this project, but then would require us not to use as many of the district's resources. So we're very optimistic. We have attorneys that don't necessarily represent our district, but there are other districts in the state that were eligible for those construction grant dollars that are working on legislation right now. Some of our board members might know about the $750,000 that we never got from that 2004 project. Those dollars would come back to us and would be applied to the next project that we would approve for. And since our adequacy rating is at 55%, and we're not where we want to be adequacy-wise because of our funding, that puts us very high on the list for the next round of school construction grants. And the way the school construction grants worked previously, it was pretty much the state would pay 75 cents on the dollar for the project. So that would be significant funding that would come our way. The legislation that is currently being worked on right now, it was actually approved in committee, but it is being sent back. ISBE has to make some changes. The State Board of Education needed to make some language changes, but it's already been approved in committee once, and they expect it to be approved again. Then it goes to our legislatures in the House and the Senate, and then to the governor. So we're hoping, and I'm thinking with the funding sources that are coming in from the federal government, that the state will move forward with this school construction grant, which we can hopefully be a part of, which would very much so diminish the amount of reserves that we would have to use out of our own coffers to pay for the project if we got that grant before. We did get that construction grant in 2004 and used that to do some renovations of the north area of the building up by the business office and in that area in front, those classrooms up in that area. So again, we have multiple funding sources, and they continue to develop as we go along. So it's really exciting in terms of we could manage it with reserves and the American Rescue Funds, but to enhance it with this school construction grant would be really a wonderful thing, because what happens after that is we do the next set of curriculum programs in the school district that we need to improve those classrooms to get them upgraded to the 21st century as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. There's a lot of state educational grants out there right now, right? Now, I see my county board here, but did you invite our state rep and our state senator to come in?
They're in Springfield right now.
Were they invited? Because they should be here to hear this.
Yeah,
That way you ain't gotta pay no lobbyists to go down there and try to get the grant. You've been and did it yourself. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, and one of the great things that has, taken place is that through partnerships like the county board, they have also engaged and sent information to our representatives, and
Yeah,
they have been, they're aware. Some of them might be online. I mean, I'm getting some text messages from community leaders, as well. But the most important thing, and in keeping business, is that we need to have a 3-year financial plan with a facilities improvement plan and stable staffing. That's the challenge. So all of these grants can be out there, but if you don't have a plan that you can show how you're going to utilize those dollars, you're going nowhere. So our plan includes academics, health and safety, site infrastructure. And with that, with the existing resources plus some federal dollars that we already have, we will go after those additional dollars. But again, you can't be asking for money when you have no plans. So it is important that we do have a solid plan approved by the board, our community, that addresses academics, that addresses the achievement levels of our students, that addresses Black and Latino students, and this significant opportunity gap that we have had for years. And that is what our plan does. So,
Dr. Rodriguez, I have a question, and I applaud the past administration for their fiscal responsibility to put us in this position. And I applaud the current administration for the vision that we're hopefully going to see come to fruition. My question relates to staff development. We can paint a picture, but what are we going to do as we move into this new technology generation to bring our staff up to speed? Because when I look at our continual and failing test scores, and I look at our D&F list, semester after semester, we're missing the point somewhere as it translates to our students, especially our black and brown students. So what does staff development look like as we begin to venture into the new horizon?
yeah, Dr. DeGangi and Dr. Popovich can answer that question, but I will answer it from my perspective and the commitment that I have for this community. I want to make sure that the staff development is happening, but that you can see it in action in the classrooms. You can spend millions of dollars in staff development and don't see that transferred into action. So that's very, very important to me. In the last couple of months, I've been thinking a lot about technology integration the best professional development was COVID-19. Our teachers have become experts as it relates to technology integration, how to leverage technology. Prior to COVID-19, it was hard. We spent millions of dollars in staff development. So again, I am very interested, and administrators can talk about the staff development opportunities. I am very interested in making sure that that translates into action. That is because it's not good enough to talk about Black and Latino opportunity gaps. But what are we actually doing day by day in making sure that that graduation rate continues to increase, that our student has post-secondary plans, that our curriculum is culturally relevant, that our programs and our buildings are work commitment. And that is where I am proposing that we have this new department that is cost neutral with a multi-tier system of support, where we will address enrichment intervention and also enrichment intervention and acceleration. I have a big problem when we think that intervention programs have to be for Black children. I have a big problem with that because we can enrich and we can accelerate our Black students. I have a big problem when those programs are tailored to low socioeconomic, Black and white and Latino, because Black, white, and Latino can also be enriched and accelerated. So again, it's a different approach. I think that we're taking a more candid, aggressive approach in looking holistically. As we understand, we don't have the resources to attend to every need, but at the same time, we need to accelerate learning, and we need to accelerate achievement for our Black and brown students. But our administrators will talk specifically about professional development, but I will tell you that the commitment from me and what I will bring to the board will only be centered on action and results. Because the lip service won't work. I need to show the results. And the administration, the teachers understand that. The unions understand that. I understand that myself. My legacy won't be that in 5 years, we're talking about Black and Latino achievement. If that's the case, I didn't do my job. But again, it will require courageous conversations, intentional investments, conversations with our foundational schools, which those are happening, and also staff development into action in our schools.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, but it won't work because we can't keep our Black and brown boys, because brown girls get a little higher, brown boys and Black kids, they're not interested in school right now, and especially with this pandemic. How are we going to raise their interest? Half of them don't have, first of all, that man in their homes, okay? You can only do so much in school. So I can understand what Al was saying as far as in the rising of the staff to make it interesting. How would a kid feel when summer comes, they mad because they're out of school for 2 months? They want to be up and get up ready for school. You know what I'm saying? Get to like school. Used to be a time our children used to be like that. But now, when the pandemic hit, oh man, that's cool. We ain't got to go. Half of them, you can't get them online. That's why I made mine return. As soon as y'all say return, oh no, you going back to school. You ain't got, you going back because I figured I got to give them that. You know what I'm saying? But what about the children at home that ain't got Clyde in their house? You see what I'm saying? See, I mentor a lot of these kids. Right here, I mentor. They ain't got a Clyde or an Al in their house. They ain't got nobody that really care. They got a mom that's trying to make ends meet. So they're not really interested in school. We can raise the bar up for all children, like you said, and I agree with you. But then we're going to have those at risk at the bottom, and they're not going to. How do we attract them to raise the bar for all our students? That's my question.
Yeah. And that is a beautiful challenge. Let's embrace the challenge. I won't say that they're not going to be able to make it. I will tell you that we have to make investments, and one of the investments that we're making in addressing this particular particular dilemma, an issue, phenomenon, is with our multi-tier system of support. So I'm proposing that we have a counselor, and that counselor has a caseload that is not as big. And I'm proposing that this counselor uses non-traditional ways to engage students. I'm proposing that we bring a parent coordinator. And that this parent coordinator help us in getting parents engaged. I'm proposing that we make investments in programs that target our Black and Latino children. So those are items that are in this proposal. It's not only about construction. I think if we think that this is only construction, we're getting it wrong, because this is also addressing those significant needs that we have. So it's our game to win or lose. I believe we can do it. I believe in my Black children. I believe in my Latino. I believe in my white children that are living in poverty. And I also believe in the English learners and special ed. So, but we just gotta embrace them. We gotta make school interesting. Our curriculum has to be culturally relevant. Our programs have to look the same. So it is going to take a multifaceted approach. Our foundational schools got to work with us, and they are. I gotta be very clear. They are working with me, and we do have a great collaboration going on. And there will be challenge as well. There will be challenge. I will be very candid in challenging some things that are happening. So, and we also need the community. Well, this is also a community issue. So it is all of us working together. Because what we have is the following. We have internal and external factors affecting the education of our children. In the middle, we got grit. In many school districts, children don't have grit. I must say to you that in Zion Benton, children do have grit. I mean, our children want it. It is us. We are the ones that need to change. So I do have I am very optimistic about our possibilities. I believe in you. I believe in you being here. I'm listening to you. And I'm looking forward to bring to the board specific investments, with numbers about what we're intending to do. See, one of the things, Clyde, that is very, very true, is that they don't have Clyde at home, and they don't have Dr. Rodriguez, but they need them. My son needed that in person. He was not doing well. They need it. So even our children, even our little ones need it. You just mentioned your little one needed it. So imagine the children that don't have, you and I. They need it even more. So I just want to make sure that our staff and our community, our board understands that is the commitment. The beautiful thing about Zion Benton, and one of the reasons why I joined this board was because they were not shy to talk about Latino and Black achievement. They were not shy about that. They were upfront with it. What are you going to do about it? So, because they know it's been persistent. So, I'm looking forward to, again, some small changes, this year that I know I can manage, and then another set of changes the following year. Because I can come here and be here and do nothing about it. It's been persistent. But we got some great things happening that we got to preserve. And we got some areas that we need to really challenge and change. So it is going to take a big effort, folks, but we're ready for the challenge. We're not scared about it. And the piece that I love most about all of this is that the administration that is here, they hear the same message that I'm giving to you. And the same thing with the board. So I don't need to have a secret meeting with them. It is true. We need to challenge the status quo. We need to ensure that our Black and brown children are progressing. We need to ensure that we don't leave behind our students that are living in poverty, Black, brown, and white. Our special education students in all colors. So it is a lot of work, folks, but we have the right commitment, the right idea, and I do know that if we are intentional with our investments, if we really care about our students, all of them, we can make a big difference in our school district. Don't let nobody tell you that Zion Benton cannot make it happen, because Zion Benton will make it happen. Because we do have a community that is phenomenal, great, ready to work. So I'm looking forward very much to those opportunities, and to bring, leaders like you, leaders from the community, leaders like myself and others to represent our children, to represent our teachers, to work together. I believe, I know we're going to make this happen. It's a commitment. It's not a job. It's a responsibility. It is about service. And again, I would have not signed that piece of paper if the board was not committed to it. And the board has been committed to challenge that and to do better for our children. Ms. Roberts?
Yes, I just want to say, I think this is an incredible vision. The children in our community deserve to have this, just like all the children on the North Shore. You have a beautiful building, you have opportunities for them. They will come to school. They will want to come to school. They will be proud to say, I go to Zion Benton. We need to offer this. The science room we have now is dreadful. Who wants to go to science class in that? I feel that this is the best thing you guys can do for this community. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And one more thing. I'm all about green. Are you thinking about doing solar panels on those buildings?
Ma'am? I'm about academics and
Yeah, we've had conversations about those. At this point, when we had our finance committee, we had our experts from Camosi Construction talk about the viability of solar panels, and it just didn't seem that it had the payback in the time that, they were talking a 20-year, 25-year payback. Just didn't seem like, because those panels have to be changed out, and it just didn't seem at that point that it would be a viable option. But we are looking at Commonwealth Edison. They have some energy. When we did the PAC, we did a project where they came in and made suggestions and got us actually money back at the end of the project. I think it was $45,000 or something like that. So we're going to be trying to reach out to them to try to have more efficiency, energy efficiency type components and things of that nature in the project itself.
Because there are other schools in our Lake County that are doing this, and if it's possible, you should
And
really
I know, I
consider
think
it.
Waukegan actually has a farm where
Yeah.
there's this off-site, which, could be an ideal thing. We do have some space, but I don't know if we have enough to do something of that nature. But I know they talked about on the roof kind of thing. It just didn't seem to be viable for the long term.
Well, I've got a baseball field that's not too far from here, that's
Yeah.
not being used.
Yeah,
Like,
the baseball players
another thing
play
that
on
I failed to
baseball
mention,
field.
No, I'm not that one. You're not talking about the same thing.
we will also be proposing night school, opportunity for our students to graduate. And I have also been very intentional with the administration about our students that are significantly credit deficient and our students that are credit deficient. And at some point, we gotta be a little bit militant and say, this is what you gotta do. And that will happen as well. So it's support, but at the same time, accountability.
So
We
you
have to
said-
push our students.
When you say night school, you talking about like look around, because I don't want to tell my age. Like
Yeah.
vocational school, like CBS and Dunbar was.
At
You remember
Boston,
remember they had, some of the children could not make school because they either had to keep kids or, they had certain situations back then. So they had a night class and they could go and finish their credits. And it really worked. It really worked.
it's exactly that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's exactly that.
Dr. Rupp, is that a district-wide initiative or is that just a new tech initiative?
Both schools. Yep. It will be mostly, our bigger school. But again, it's about opportunity. the problem that we have is not only shipping, it's an opportunity gap. So there are social factors that we're not addressing, such as students not having the ability because of whatever reason. So that will also be brought forward as part of this proposal for this year. That we have that we revamp, restructure, some of our offices where it becomes more student-centered. I know many teachers are listening to me. I know I have teacher leaders here. Again, I've been completely transparent. I'm open to one-on-one meetings. I'm open to group meetings. But we will have and we will see some different programs and initiatives from July 1st. And the same thing will happen the following year. Because it would take a different approach to address these persistent issues that we have historically dealt with. What can happen? Ms. Moreno has 2 questions from online. I don't want to forget our online.
I do. We have 2. So the first one, will Rescue American funds be used to add instructors, specialists to the MTSS program?
The answer to that is no. Those are one-time dollars, which will be used to address facilities and technology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As you know, adding staffing is, it compounds year after year, so you need to sustain it. If we do add staffing, it will be something sustainable. The MTSS initiative will be utilizing our existing resources, our staff, and then assigning people to do different jobs.
The second one was already answered. It was about renewable energy. So
Okay. Any other online questions? No?
that's it.
Questions from the public, board members? Comments, thoughts? Everything is good.
Any other board members here? I can see the back.
That's all right, that's all
The
right.
badge, the
I
badge.
like anonymity.
Don't we all?
Mr. President, you want me to close or you have anything you want to share?
No, this is about what you guys have put together. It's a great plan, and no, I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, we will stay to answer questions one-on-one. We do have administrators, principals, directors of finance, academics, myself. There will be, yes, Rachel, use or no? Not today, no water?
Oh, sorry, no, we do not have any.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
But we're here to talk to you. We're here to exchange ideas. Again, thank you for being here. This can't be one meeting. This must continue. We do intend to bring plans to the Board of Education. My office, my email is completely open. We're learning, folks. We're learning. These plans have changed. It used to be a community resource center. We changed that to an MTSS resource center. Thank you, Ms. Richards, for the feedback. That's how we make it happen. We do need people like you in giving us ideas and feedback and how do we better utilize our resources and engage our community. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the big business part of the house, it will be a 3-year financial plan with some facility improvements centered on academics and staffing levels that are stable. In conjunction to support academic needs of our students and to target our graduation rate with a 90% goal so that our students are college, life, and career ready. So it's a very focused approach. I'm not bringing you a laundry list of strategies and things that we should do. At the end of the day, are students ready for college, life, workforce development? And how many of them are ready? We're at the high school level. not elementary school. We gotta produce. This is about an end result, proficiency, graduation. And that is really what the plan is all about. Let's look at our resources, let's look at our need, let's align it, let's be focused, and let's be intentional about the work that we do. So again, I thank you, all of the participants online, and also those of you who are here. And I know that together we're going to make Zion Benton Township High School the best school district anywhere. Thank you.